The Long Haul Podcast, America's Irish Voice. Interviews with inspiring immigrants, renowned Irish personalities, and discussions on all things Irish America. Presented by Michael Dorgan and Johnny Kennedy. In this week's podcast, myself and Johnny discussed the state of the New York City bar industry after COVID decimated the sector. The industry appears to be getting back to normal, but still faces many challenges like higher food costs and staff shortages. We also talk about tipping in New York City, the best places to go for a steak in Manhattan, and why upstairs in the Long Haul has been converted into an immersive experience called Shawshankd, and what that experience is all about. The Guinness Guru Daragh Curran was in town recently from Ireland, tasting the Guinness across the city and in Boston. Johnny brought Daragh to bars in Queens and Brooklyn, so he tells us how he got on and where you can get the best pints of the black stuff in the Big Apple. They also did a podcast together on the Guinness Guru's YouTube channel. A link to that video is in the description below. If you like what you hear on our channel, hit that subscribe button or give us a 5-star review on iTunes. Our recent podcast with Pat Phelan has gotten tremendous feedback, so why not share it with your friends or family? And now, on to this week's podcast. Well, Johnny, it's our first podcast together since I'd say last January or February when we'd Garrity in and we were talking about the bar industry. So we're just after the lockdown for Christmas. You were at home. 12 months later, this time 12 months ago, we were getting ready for another lockdown in Ireland.
Sure, weren't we? Yeah. 6 p.m. close or something, wasn't it? I went home for 2 Christmases in a row and I hadn't been home for one since 99 or 98. Wow. Swear to God, yeah. Anyway, I left home in 99. But it's turned me off going back. Like, I refused to go this Christmas.
Jeez.
Yeah, I think it was. Now, as a friend of mine pointed out to me, he goes, well, you can hardly judge it on them too, with the 2 lockdowns.
This will be huge this Christmas, I'd say.
You'd love to think it, wouldn't you? For people
are going to
home,
go mad.
I hope so, yeah.
I'm going home now. It'll be my first time home in 3 years, touch wood, waiting on the green card. But tell me, what's the bar industry like? So people can see here now, this is this is the same spot we're in, but there's a lot of jumpsuits or prison suits behind you. Yeah. What's going on?
This doesn't give you any indication of what's going on here.
That's not for us.
Yeah, that's a little rubber hammer. Yeah, just obviously we're upstairs in the Long Hall. It's an actual Shawshankd now. It's called. It's an immersive experience. It's a prison experience. So yeah, that's had some interesting feedback from certain people. But,
when did it open?
Probably around July. Yeah, no, earlier, probably June, around that time or something.
And what was the thought process behind it? Who came up with the idea? Where did you come up with the idea?
What was doing it with, like, myself and Cotler, obviously doing it with Peter Kingston and Dahi. Sorry, Dahi, can't remember your surname. Dahi is in Dublin, and he kind of come up with a few of these experiences before and worked on building them in the past in Ireland and different places.
With different type of teams.
Did loads of different teams, yeah. They have a couple of different things. So they just approached us about upstairs, what we doing, and I suppose a lot of people might feel this. I don't know every bar, but even for us here, like, party rooms kind of sit there a lot. So you'd have to wonder what revenue you're losing out, or like what revenue would you lose out if you change it into something like this. And we kind of felt it was worth a try to do it. So we did it, converted it all last summer or around the end of early last year. And so you basically buy tickets online. You come in through the side door. The prison warden brings you in. You do your whole, you're getting brought into prison here. You put on an orange jumpsuit, put you into one of the cells, like 5 or 6 into each cell. And then we have actors that sort of work the show with you. And it's all about, it's not an escape room as such, but it's all about the shows going on with them. It's kind of based a little bit maybe around a Whitey Bulger. I suppose Shawshankd is obviously in the name. But yeah, no, it's going good so far. Peter's been great at pushing it.
So do they sing or perform or what?
The lads do a bit of everything, yeah. A bit of singing, a bit of performing. You're in the cell, you write down your drinks, what you want, and then they slide it out to you. Use cigarettes to pay for your drinks, stuff like this. Yeah. All this kind of stuff, yeah. And there's an actor or two in among the prisoners, and then there's a hole there. You go out through the hole and stuff. So I won't give away too much, but it's basically that's kind of the concept.
You got to kind of.
You have cocktails obviously as well.
Yeah. So what is it, 90 minutes or what's
thereabouts, a little bit more maybe sometimes. So that's our rule. If we can get them up and in and out within an hour, about an hour and 20 minutes or something.
And so would you have several performances on one night, and what nights do you do?
Generally 2 shows. Well, we do any nights if we could sell tickets and all, but generally Peter's been doing them like Thursday, Fridays and Saturdays. And then he's done a few corporate events on Wednesday nights and stuff like that.
All right, okay.
So you can kind of have the place for yourself, I would think. So we're going to see how it evolves for a while over the winter, and maybe do a few other things with it.
Yeah,
so it could also change the experience to something else if we wanted.
Oh yeah. So the trade-off then is that you don't get the people. I know there's a couple of clubs here used to be booking up here and do kind of their club meetings, the GA clubs and functions and all that.
Some of them probably should be in prison, so they can still have it. A few of the New York board definitely should be in there. That was a nice segue, wasn't it? Yeah, no, that is kind of like, but it is. You have to kind of look at it and think, oh yeah, you're giving up your private room. Like, this is the month now. We're getting people calling us about it. But thankfully, we have a lot of loyal returning Christmas parties. So they already know the place.
Yeah.
I always said it's great to have a party room. If someone calls you and said, do you have a party room? Say, yeah. So then you have them on the phone. And then you can talk them into taking the back area. But if you have no party room straight off the bat, they're probably not interested. They're going to hang up. So it's not functioning for us. It wasn't used enough like for us as it was.
Yeah. And you're paying rent on it. So
so we're basically renting it from ourselves now, as in the Shawshankd is renting it from the long haul. And then it's, but like it's, I'm very happy with it. It's really good. And like worst case scenario, and obviously I'm not saying if this didn't work out or something like that, but it's be a pretty cool cocktail bar now as it is. You know what I mean? A worst case scenario, because cocktail bars are so popular now. When you look at different ones, and the lads in the Fiddler have like a sort of a sex shop downstairs now, and sort of
I saw that.
Yeah, so there's all stuff like there is this whole thing of going on. I spoke to Macker a bit about it, and as he says, everyone is pushing to do something different, but it's great that they are, like the lads have just opened, is it Dickinson's it's called?
Opened a new one, didn't they? Yeah.
They opened a new one there, like, and I think it's a gay bar type thing, and it's, the days of just let's open a paddy whackery bar, like, go. Lads are fair play to lads are evolving.
And the upstairs in the Westbury, can you use that as a function?
Yeah, because that's more of a mezzanine, so it's easier to use that. Like, whereas here it was a private room. Like, I've regulars that would be downstairs loads of times, and they say, "Where's your private room?" So the stairs you walk by, mum, every time you walk in. But I get it. Like, you've kind of gone by there. You're already looking at the bar, so you don't know. So upstairs in the Westbury, it's kept more of a mezzanine, so you can use it together, like, in party. So the Westbury's been going great for us. It's been really good.
So go back in the since COVID hit, and we might as well refresh on this, because when COVID hit, we did a couple of podcasts, and you were kind of holding off for the rent, and you were trying to negotiate with the landlord, and did that all work out in the end? Or?
Yeah, it did, but you're still kind of paying for it as well. Like, we're still with deals with both of them, and we're still like paying them, because the government, as I said a few times, we're not going to go rehash it too much, but the government didn't do a whole lot for landlords, so they're still somewhat, we're looking to do some sort of deal with them. I never really got this whole like fallout with your fight with your landlord. I've said that before in this, so I never really understood that, so I didn't. And in both cases, me and Cottle and Connor obviously was in the Westbury, the three of us were happy enough with the deal we got with the lad up there, and the guy here, to be fair, has always been very good to me in the long haul, so we were lucky enough in that. But Midtown is definitely, and I'm not making an excuse for it, but this part of Midtown, like as in the east side of Midtown, you could say, has been affected more than most other places. Like, I don't know if you've been down around the East Village or West Village in the last 4, 5, 6 months and all. It's just be hopping down there, and it's brilliant for them and great for them. But
why is that? Why is this?
This is more office orientated. The reason we all moved in here was Grand Central, Penn Station, and this and that. So it is. It's
and you
now
got the Westbury, because there was 2 hotels going up as well. Didn't
there's 5? There's a hotel just opened there on the street. The entrance from one of the hotels that's on 39th. There's another entrance onto 38th. I think on the street of the Westbury now, there's 3 on one side, 2 the other. There's definitely 4, if not 5, hotels, and there's another one still being built. But they've been building that for 2 or 3 years in there. But it's the new weekend kind of in Manhattan now, as people would tell you. Anyway, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are now the nights. Friday can be anything. You don't know what Friday is, but like our best nights of recent have been Wednesday, Thursdays.
I've noticed that going around the place. It was down West Village we were a couple of weeks ago. It was just packed. It was like a Wednesday or something.
100%. Yeah.
And then there was a couple of Fridays we went out, and it was
could be hairy. Yeah. Friday is weird now.
Yeah. And Fridays used to be rocking.
The Friday now reminds you of the Friday in the summer, pre-COVID. Like, it reminds you what it used to be like in the summer.
People gone out of town.
Yeah. So we're always picking the brain of people when they're in the bar. Someone from an office, and you'd ask them, "What's your story? What's your office? What are they saying?" And it's so funny. Some of the stories, it's like, "Yeah, we're working 3 days a week," was one girl told me, and the office has told them you can take 2 days, but they're not allowed to take off Monday or Friday. So it's to force them in, like, you know. So, but there's no consistency. Like, yeah, there could be some people in the office, but if everybody's not in, it's hard to get a cocktail hour going and stuff. But like last week was a great example in the long haul last Thursday week, was it? No, last Wednesday. We had 3 parties booked in. One of them just cancelled beforehand, which, what are you going to do about that? And then the other 2 were lighter than what they thought. But then with 2 walk-ins of 35 plus of people. Like, you just can't, can't calculate for that. Like, you don't know, like there's 70 people. If them 3 other parties have been up there, but they're like, oh, we just decided we're across the road, we're all in the office today. Stuff like that. But you know you're that busy on the Wednesday or Thursday. You can guarantee now on the Friday you're going to take a little bit of a hit, you know. But tourists is good to see. I don't know how long that's going to last with the euro and the dollar and the pound.
Even though there's still vaccination ban.
I see that, yeah. Kind of forget about COVID, don't I?
Yeah.
Like I do. I do forget about it until you hear of someone has a vaccination ban or someone's removed it or something. But I
noticed the tourists around the place now, alright.
Like lads today in the Westbury, like today is the day the world England played, like today, and Wales played, against USA. I swear to God, it was like there's a French bus pulled up. We were full of French people this morning in the Westbury.
Alright.
No idea why. Like when I say full, like 5 separate tables within an hour or two all come in French. There's a lot of people around. But you'd wonder, I have friends in town at the moment, and I was talking to them about the price of hotels, and they were, theirs was locked in from before COVID. They had it booked around COVID, and it was locked in, and the hotel honoured the price, obviously. So theirs was locked in at that price. I just got a price on a hotel for a friend around the corner for December. Actually, neighbours of yours coming over in that ballpark, and the Hilton Garden around the corner here, and $570 pre-tax per night for the 8th, 9th and 10th of December. So it was working out at like $620 a night, you know, and that's nuts. There's no value at the moment in the city of accommodation. So where's the long-term effect of that? And like, these people are already booked. The people are all here now, that's fine. But now with the euro, the dollar, and the price of hotels, it's be interesting to see what next year is going to be like. I'm not being a pessimist about it. I'm not generally a pessimistic person, but I don't. I think there could be a bit of a downturn next year.
You're saying it's going to get worse, like. So,
yeah, I'd be fearful for everybody, bars and stuff like that. Because also, and I probably overstated this a few times, with the government grant money and stuff that certain people got, a lot of that probably has paid them to get up to here. But if you didn't get that November, December, bang, Christmas parties, if you don't get them, if you don't have them, it'd be interesting to see what January, February, March are like for some bars, won't it? You know.
But you're expecting the heavy bookings next couple of months.
We're really happy with the Westbury especially, and here we've regular parties, our regulars from every year. Like I literally looked to book there 3 or 4 of the parties, mostly Irish contracting lads, have all coming back the exact same thing.
And the World Cup, because it's on the winter now, is this better for you? Like,
well, today is day 1, so I don't like the day 1 kind of like, this is the Monday. And really surprised with how good it was in both places today. For the the England game, we opened in the Westbury for it because it was obviously an 8 a.m. kickoff, and we were really pleasantly surprised. But again, people on the street that we knew, regulars in the Westbury, that asked, and Debbie was happy enough to open for it. But Jade here was pretty good for it as well, which is surprising.
Getting staff has been problematic for bars the last 2 years. Is it still the same?
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah, I think for us it is. And there's a few good people around, but I hope none of them are listening to this, like, anyway. But no, but generally it's like, do you know what? The kids are educated. I've said this probably again. I feel like I'm repeating myself in some stuff, so forgive me if I am with some. But the kids are educated now and they're smart, and they also have green cards and they have passes, so they all want to go home for Christmas. And that's not logistic for us, like. Now the only good thing I'll say here, and again I don't want them to hear this, with the long haul and the Westbury type of thing, is especially long haul, we generally are dealing with a lot of Irish. So we'll have a mass exit here of customers anyway.
Gets quiet, like, for Christmas.
Well, but they'll all leave the week before. Like, it won't be a run up to like the 23rd here at the long haul.
Yeah.
all the Irish will be gone from the week before. What's Christmas fall on a Sunday or something?
Not sure, to be
So
honest.
most of them are going to leave on the 20th, 21st, 22nd. They're going to leave around that time. So that's not too bad for me. But it's just an uncertainty if they're coming back, like, you know. And I've one or two that are working within their 90 days, which I've unofficially, you probably should take that out. But if you don't, but if they're working within their, you know, so you have others that just don't know what their long-term plan is. And it's hard for you as an owner to invest in people.
Yeah.
Then you don't know. But equally, I get it too. You know, I was in their position before. They want more and they want to go travel. They want to do things. So I don't know, you know. But overall, I've been very happy with any staff we've had. And it's just difficult to get experienced staff. I've hired 3. My last 4 hires have all come directly from Ireland. Not within New York. Like,
Came up. All right.
came straight through Ireland. I rang, and one kid came over through his dad. His dad was here, and lucky enough, he had his papers. And I asked him, and then he had a buddy, and his buddy came, and then I have 2 others that came on the basis of it. That's how far hard I was finding it to get, you know, because a lot of people left the industry, and then the ones that did come back into it, they get into probably a job that they were happy in, and they might have been working pandemic sort of mentality. So you were going into a bar and you had one bartender, maybe a runner, and he was making great money. And what was happening then, when it was getting busier and you were getting busier, now you're bringing in someone else to work with him, and him or her have the snot on then a little. And not all of them, and in fairness to them, I'm not saying that in a bad way, but that's not just for me. I've seen that. And now what's happening in some bars, now they've all bartenders back, now they've all waitresses back. And for people that are not familiar, like, you're going now and people are looking for a pool house. Pool house means that everything is pooled.
All the tips.
All the tips are pooled. That never works realistically in bigger places, because there's always someone that's fucking peeved. There's always someone that's working harder than someone else. But then I know of a couple of places with a couple of friends and certain people where you have the floor that's doing exceptionally well, and then the bar isn't, but then they have an extra bartender on to accommodate that floor, and the lads are back. But that all goes back to skeleton crews during the pandemic, and gradually as people were coming back, we did only 1 or 2 bartenders, so that bartender was making a killing. But meanwhile, the bar is ultimately all that matters. If the bar doesn't make money, there won't be a tip cup. So the owner's in a no-win situation. If a bartender giving out to him and a waitress who's probably making a killing, or vice versa. So with the long haul here, it's a little different for us, because it's the way it's compacted, the way it can be. Like, if I have a big party down the back, we will just say, lads, pool that between the whole audience, and then the bartenders will be happy enough, they'll pool as well. Like, so it kind of works out well here at times. But all these things are all fine until one person just throws the snot about it. And I'm not saying they're wrong either. But all it takes is one bartender or one waitress to say, well, this is bullshit.
Dinner school.
You know, and I personally, I was a bartender for 15 years. I still am in my head. I personally would rather just bar and floor separate. I'll take my chances. You know what I mean?
All right.
Yeah, taking chances. I'd rather work hard at the bar, hustle your own customers. And then people will take care of you, and it always balances itself out. If you do a pool tip cup one night, I think that kind of robs the ambition of working harder. Like, so the floor is packed one night, and then the bartender's making her loads of drinks. But what happens the next night then when Michael and Johnny and 3 or 4 other lads come in sitting at the bar, and you're the bartender, and the lads are 4 bartenders, and they're leaving you like $80, and there's a waitress standing over there that wasn't doing that all night, and now you have to give her 40 of that. But meanwhile, you're going to go back to their bar next week, and you're the one that's going to have to give them the 20. As they used to call it, the rubber 20. It'd be bouncing around. You know, Cormac and I spoke about that, I think. But like, I don't like pooled houses, but sometimes I understand it. So it's that these are all challenges at the moment for bar owners.
And what
bar
you're
staff.
doing so is you're just pooling if there was a...
It depends. If it's a certain night and you know there's 2-3 parties coming in and the place coming back and everyone works together, you can pool it. That's fine.
And we've said this a couple of times, and people are still surprised that you should if you tip on your card, the half that goes to the taxman.
Pretty much, yeah.
So basically, always tipping cash.
If you can, every staff member would love you if you can, but it's hard.
I actually try to do it if I go out on a Saturday night or I'm going for dinner or something.
That's good that you're thinking it.
Because Macro said it on the podcast, and I was like, and loads of people said it that time. So I'd make sure I have cash, because everyone pays to card nearly for everything these days.
They'd love you for it.
Bit of cash, and I make sure then I've Yeah, you'd see the smile, and you're like, but
Oh,
people
there's
don't
no
realise
doubt
it.
about it. No. Everyone appreciates
What I
it.
can't understand, why don't they put it on the receipt? Tips like that would
Good
make
question.
people think twice. Like
It's a good point.
it's
Yeah.
not on the restaurant or whatever. Just tips by card or tax.
Well, I know
that
the
X
revenue.
percent.
I know the revenue guesstimate that you have been paid X amount in cash, and they'll tax you on the basis of that as
Alright.
well.
Okay.
But I think they should revisit that because you could go a whole night, and generally speaking, you might not see it. If you were in a place, let's say, I'd say if you were down the village, if you were somewhere like that, tourists generally carry cash. Tourists would be worried, like, plus our credit card system here is a bit dated. We're getting a lot of returns or disputing tips on Apple Pay. Because Apple Pay, as we all know, or if you don't, but you basically touch it and it's paid, right? But then how do you tip someone?
Yeah.
So how do you do it? So if they do it and it prints out. The problem with Apple Pay with us is Apple Pay is generally designed for tap and walk. But when you're tapping in a bar, it prints off and they still need you to sign it. Then you put the tip on.
Yeah.
Right? And we've had tourists disputing the tip after the fact. Like.
All right. Okay.
But if we don't have a chip and a signed copy, we don't, we can't get that tip. Now, you could add gratuity to it, and then if the guy taps it, but sorry, I said if you give the tip, if you don't have a signed copy with that tip on it, the credit card company will refund him and they'll take it back off you. The credit card system in America is dated, but I think it's also difficult because of the tipping system.
Yeah. Do you know what I hate? It's when they have the machines and they stick it in there like that, and you're after getting shitty service.
Oh, when they put it in front of you,
yeah, and
it's
you've got
fucking terrible.
And what they have is 20, 22, and 25%.
But when did 22 and 20? When did 22 and 25?
know,
when
yeah,
did 20 become the minimum?
Exactly. Yeah.
And then if you're to dispute it, next thing you're in a row.
Yeah. And they always you're supposed to tip before tax, aren't you? In a restaurant. I know some places will have the suggested tip before tax. Other places then will put it on afterwards as in the total, and then
you see, it's funny. So if you put gratuity on a check and you put 20% on it, you're not actually getting 20% because it's going on before the tax. So technically, you're not getting the 20%. Yeah. So ours is all before tax. Yeah. But it is. It's in. Look, the bottom line is, and we said this on it before, it's a service. If the service is shit, I will always tip, but I'd be more inclined to still tip normal and just not go back.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same.
You know what I mean? That's it. Because I always feel if you've an asshole bartender or a rude waitress or something like that, why stiff the busboy would always be my thing.
I always feel it's a job that I think it's a very extremely difficult job, and I just don't have the personality for it. And I see people running around the place, and if they got something wrong, I tend not to give up.
Yeah, we're not going to go. Nobody's going to go James Gordon on it. But at the same time, it's easy for them to be nice as well. Like if they're nice to you, everyone's going to tip. Everyone's going to leave something.
But like I'm on my computer all day working. I don't have to I'm not interacting with the public or whatever. A barman or a waitress or whatever. That's 40 hours of their week where they're constantly with people. You know, if they're pissed off about something.
I've one or two staff members and I can hear them when I'm in the bar and they never stop. They're always going. They're always talking. They're always asking. And it can be repetitive, but they actually are genuinely into it. Like I have one bartender in particular, and that person would be, where he's from, where he's over. Well, I shouldn't say 1, 2 in particular, and they're constantly, where he's from, where he's over, what he's doing here, and they're giving them suggestions for tourist stuff. That's your bread and butter. Them tourists will come back. Because that'll be him or her will say, jeez, I like that person. I liked that guy or that girl. I'll go back there. And they will. They'll find us their go-to every night. But at the same time, I see some staff then, not necessarily here, but over the years, and I'm sure I'm guilty of it myself, you go out the night after work and you spend a bit of your tips and then you're dying the next day and you're like, can't be fucking dealing with this. Customers pick up on that. They're in New York and they want the New York experience, and oddly enough, the bartender, waitress, the service industry is part of New York experience because it's unique to anywhere else. At home, you don't want to fucking talk to any barman. If he started talking to you, or if you start talking to him, you'd be like, fuck off, will you? We only talk to him afterwards.
What are the big challenges for the industry? So, has the price, obviously inflation,
I'd say food costs is like outrageous. Like lettuce there a few weeks ago was just went to, what was it? $95 for a case of lettuce, which would have been 2 weeks before that would have been less than 30.
Fuck.
And if you're not watching it,
Wow.
like, you know, Cotton will be very good like that with us. But like,
Go off like that.
we actually copped it because the lettuce that we got for the 95, the one came in at 80 something, $80. It was 79. But the reason we know it's because the lettuce was actually horrible. And I noticed it when I had my lunch, and I said it to the lads in the kitchen. They said, "Oh, that's a new lettuce that's coming in." Then we went and looked at the invoice. And to be fair to the veg man, who's a great fellow, I rang him up, and me and him were having, he's an Irish guy, and we were chatting away about it. And he says, "Johnny," he says, "this is what I'm dealing with. Spuds were $24 a case a few weeks ago. They went to $75 within a week.
What?
$75. This happened about 6 weeks ago, maybe less than 2 months ago. And then the lettuce was about less than a month ago.
And are they staying as a
No.
Spuds that price now?
No,
Back down again?
he
fluctuate.
He was telling me, he said, when they move north now and they're picking the lettuce up and around the Arizona area, that'll come back down.
Aye.
So you realistically, you have to be watching it and don't be afraid to pull something off a menu. Or if you want to take the hit on it. But like at the end of the day, everyone knows inflation's there, right? Smart people come in, sit at the bar, and they know it exists, and it's affecting their job. But if they still see you selling wings at $20-something, they think it's you.
Yeah.
It's a reflection on you. And it takes them to take a picture and put it on Yelp. Look at this fella's charging. And in 2 years' time, when there's no inflation, that picture's still up there. So nobody'd say, well, sorry, was that not during the inflation?
Yeah.
Someone else just put up their beer recently. Budweiser, I think. Just randomly put it up.
Heineken at home, there's a big uproar about that.
Big uproar over it. You know, but like, how much can I pass on to you? Like, how much can you pass on to the customer? Like,
and how big is food for ye? Is food getting people in and then making the profit on the drink, or?
Yeah, 100%. That's it. Now you can, like, if you're good and your margins are good, but it's like anything. If you don't have food, like if you say to the missus, we're going out for something, like, you don't take a pint, so you're going to somewhere where there is food being served.
Yeah.
So between wages costs in New York and food and everything, it's a pretty expensive burger to put on a plate.
Yeah.
You know, like if a fella comes in and has a couple of burgers, and like me and you be no good to them, like you have to come in and have a few Diet Cokes and a few burgers. Again, they're little things. They're, you know, you're bringing money back through the place, but you're also putting money into the waitress's pocket. You're also doing something. So it is great to see. Listen, don't get me wrong. If I'm coming across pessimistic about the business, I'm far from it. I think it's in great shape.
Well, I was just going to ask you that. What are the levels like now with the people coming in the door?
Yeah, it's been great.
Back up to 100%, or
no, nowhere near it. But it's different now. Like it is good, but it's just different. You're more of a hustle maybe for it, and you're getting it at different spells. Like to use Ireland as a comparison, I believe what's happening in Ireland is everyone's out way earlier. They're nearly on the lockdown mode. So people are not out. And New York has a few trends sort of like that too. You know, I do think that the pub tavern, in the end, I think will come out the better out of this. Because restaurants, high-end restaurants and all, are gone that expensive. Because they also have them same costs. But they didn't, like Smith Malinsky's and these steakhouses, they're not charging like $75 for steak just because they can. They obviously have costs like everyone else to get it up to that price.
What's your favourite
steakhouse? That's not sustainable. Well, I don't eat meat, so that's not really much good. I was in Smith Malinsky's 2 weeks ago with some of the Kerry lads when they were over. Like
we were in there. We walked out.
Really? Just didn't. Well, I wouldn't. If you
they put us into this little table by the window. It just looked like it was.
Were you
like
in the grill or were you in the main part?
Oh, it was upstairs.
Oh, upstairs, the second floor.
Oh man, it was like something. It was like in school or something.
Right.
It was just,
now, if you'd have asked me and said to me, "Me and Laura are going for a steak, where'd you go?" I would never send a couple to Smith Malinsky's. So my theory is on a Smith Malinsky's is more corporate lads place, which I think is most steakhouses for the record.
Yeah.
Del Frisco's very much more of a couple thing.
Yeah.
Much more of a female vibe, much more going into it. Peter Luger's, it's like a fucking light shop and it's pure man, sort of Italian type. I wouldn't be my bag at all. I've been there a couple of times, didn't when I used to eat that way. But Malone and Michelli's is gone, that used to be good. I would also say Del Frisco and Keen's.
I'm going there Wednesday, first time Keen's.
No way, you love it.
There before.
Keen's is like a time warp. So Keen's is.
I've been in there, but I haven't.
Okay.
I had to go in there for the
Keen's is a chop house.
Yeah.
So their mutton chop is their signature dish, but really cool place. Go into the parlour next door, Mark Fox's place next door.
All right.
You love it. The two of them there, Rag Trader and the parlour house, really cool. It's a great street there. But like, To me, a steakhouse is not really somewhere I'd go with my missus anyway.
Yeah.
But like, I get it. Like,
I do. It's my kind of thing
Oh,
since
it's
I
your
gave
treat.
off the.
Oh, you
the
treat
drink.
yourself.
It's
Okay.
like I get a big steak.
Gallagher's.
No, she's
Gallagher.
Gallagher's. I love Gallagher's.
Gallagher's right beside,
yeah.
Haswell's excellent.
Beautiful. It's a beautiful steakhouse.
But there's
Just
no better city, and I hate saying stuff like this, like arrogant to be in New York. But there's nowhere better for steakhouses. I think they're all great for different things. Like, but you know,
I like Wolfgang's as well. I like Wolfgang's.
Wolfgang's great. Just one around here.
Yeah,
There's one in Midtown, but the one around here is part of the old Grand Central.
I don't think I was in that one. I was.
So if you go into the Wolfgang's around here, it's the ceiling is like the old Grand Central. Because Grand Central used to be parts of the train track. It'd all be way down and coming down on Park Avenue. So that used to be part of the subway, or the trains used to go underneath there. That's why it's so low down. Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, I think they're all good, like, but for different reasons.
I got across here. What were we talking about for on the bar side of things?
Just with the prices, and I think that the taverns, will end up benefiting most out of this, because I think it'll get to a point that I don't care how much money you have, well, to a point, but a lot of people are going to say, that's a little steep, isn't it? Felt like I just got, like, and it might only be $10 more than what it used to be in your head. Like, I went to Balthazar there with Olivia, my 18-month-old there, whatever, a few months ago. And I just remember getting the check after brunch, and I don't think Olivia drank, but I didn't drink, and whatever. I had 3 course, Olivia had 1 course, and I remember just seeing $190. And then by the time I put tax and stuff, and I get why it is, but I remember in my head going, $230 for 2 of us, and you know, she didn't have a drink, like she didn't, like how it got to that. Now sorry, I must correct, she had to have had a wine to get to that price. If I had a soup, a main, a dessert, and she just had a main.
But still, we were doing it for a couple of months there. We were like, oh, we'll go on Saturday. Just look, because we like to eat. I don't like to eat cheap. Look, she's a fitness trainer or whatever.
But
and
I think you have to treat
you
have to treat yourself as well.
Yeah, but at the point where it's like you're going in, it's 200, 250.
Yeah, when you
went
start
to Vernon Boulevard last week in Long Island City.
Yeah,
and you get just. A nice place. It's the same.
But I think that's what will happen. I think people will get more adventurous. I think they'll start
back to the tavern
for a place. They'll come back to the tavern thing. They'll come like you could go to the Corner Bistro in West Fort and Jane and probably get the best burger in New York. And I think now it comes on a styrofoam plate. There's no chips with it. Your fries or chips, they separate. But if you got chili fries, burger, and a beer, I might be off on this, but I think the burger's only about $10. The fries are another $5 or $6, and the beer is only $6. Like, where you couldn't go wrong. Yeah. You're not trying to impress your missus at this stage of your marriage, but you know what I mean. You're in a cool end of town. You're in the West Village. You know, New York still has value. That's what I think, and that's but going to a Catch or a Budokan or a Tao or somewhere like that. I went to Beauty in Essex with some friends there a few weeks ago. Like, thank God I didn't lose the credit card roulette in that one. Like, I can only imagine like what it was. You know, I don't think I should be part of it when I don't drink, by the way, if any of the lads are listening.
Did you ever think it was going to end COVID with the bar industry, and you were like, he had just set up the Westbury and long haul was flying and it was I know you enjoyed it for the first couple of months. You were
what a fucking great time. I hope there's another one in 2 years, lads.
But then it was like, fuck.
Yeah, I think more.
You were very positive at the start. Like.
Yeah, I found it very hard to get back into it now. I didn't normally admit that, but Cottle deserves a lot of patience. Like, in fairness, I found it very hard to get back into it. I had no interest. I'd let on, I did, and it's only in the last probably 4 or 5 months, or even less, that I've like kind of re-energized to get into it. I found it very hard just to get re-motivated for it, and I think Cottle even found it harder. Like, to be fair to him, but it was more it's the starting again with staff. And listen, I'm delighted with staff. We love them, but it's them starting again as well. It was we did realise, but we had such a good crew of staff here when it closed down, when the long haul ended, like a COVID, and naturally they all move on. Like, but we literally had it just so fine tuned, like, and everyone knew them, and they're all great staff. So it's just starting again. It's that hard part of starting again, and I was very lucky. I didn't really have to start again with the kitchen, and that's probably the hardest part. But like. I didn't see it ending, but at the same time, it feels like it was a long time ago as well. You know, I know I've had a lot change in my life, but I think it just seems like a long time ago. Yeah. Like when you said there at the start of this time last year, we were talking about lockdown in Ireland.
It seems way longer.
That seems like a lot longer than 12 months ago. It really does. Like, is there talk of a lockdown in somewhere in Melbourne or somewhere. Did I see?
I don't know.
Or somewhere there was someone talking about some sort of.
There's something new now,
some
RPV
viral-
or something.
Fuck, I think it is. I think in America they definitely like going like, listen, fuck off, like bring Trump back in. We don't want this, like there'd be something. But I think the landlords personally got a bit of a raw deal in the whole thing. I've said that. I know some people might agree with me, but I think the landlords did in New York.
Even the landlords who have got their apartments to rent out, like they got.
I think a lot of them.
Not just the business landlords, like that they were getting people weren't paying. I said this before. Our ex-landlord, people just said, "Oh, it's fucking."
I told you.
They just said.
I told you.
And she was. That's her income, like
100%.
She's not building like 1,000.
But that's the classic, like the law is only for the law abiding. I know people that were working full time and stopped paying rent and moved around, and then like people moved into high end apartments in different places and stuff like that, and then even the way some of them were treated, you know what I mean? I'm not saying they should have been kept or whatever, but like I've one friend who was like went into an apartment and they literally went down to try and negotiate down there 6 months ago, and they were told $5,500.
Yeah, when crazy.
Else get out.
Yeah, we'd so many friends that moved in down by us, Long Island City.
That's where it was. It's down beside you. $5,500 or get out.
Went up at least 500, and they're all gone now again.
I've had a few couples that were drinking here now, and and they ended up moving out to Brooklyn, and it worked out well for them, for one or two of them. But they had other friends, same thing. No, I get it, but like. Again, was there enough done for the landlords then?
I just don't know where all the demand is that they could skyrocket all the.
Maybe it's because I seen it with staff that have just come over. I don't ever remember it being so hard to get an apartment. It's literally impossible to get anything in Astoria, Sunnyside, Long Island, around that area for any young person coming over. It's near impossible.
Because J1ers playing football over the summer, they couldn't get any.
You can't get anywhere.
And it was like a lot of. They're saying that there was a net exodus of people from New York during the pandemic, and it's just like, is it? I wonder. Well, I suppose the hotels is different.
I think a lot of young people moving out of home couldn't wait to get out. There was a big thing, get out at the one time, and there was stuff. But like 3 of the kids that came working here for us that I mentioned come from Ireland there. 2 in particular really struggle, and they're in a place now that they're not even really totally happy with. It's kind of nearly like fucking bed sit. Like there's a load of them sharing a house with people they don't know, stuff like that. I don't ever remember that. I really don't. 20 odd years here, I never remember such a demand for it. Like they got a couple of offers to move to Yonkers and stuff like in Woodlawn and stuff like that. But if you're in the service industry, that's a very difficult route for you to take. Because if you're working till midnight or after, trying to get home to Woodlawn, or it's tough. Now, if you have a family connection there, that's fine. But if you're young and you've just moved over, and you're trying to go Astoria, Sunnyside, Woodside at best, So that I don't ever remember that, and that's tough. That's hard.
What are the other business owners kind of saying to you about the bar industry? Are they all?
Yeah, a lot of them doing well. Obviously, I'm in good connection with the lads. With the McNamees and the boys now, the lads are doing very well. Like I said, they just opened another place there, and the lads of Archie and Conor Myers have opened with the McNamees the Copper. What's it called? Sorry lads, Copper John, which is used to be the old castle just around the corner from where the Irish pub was open. The Irish pub reopened as well. Stevie Rogers reopened. It's really good for Stevie and them. Yeah, they're all like, that's great to see. Like them bars open in them areas. But like the lads are all hustling well up there, and they're doing well. Haswell's obviously with Vincent and Kevin and Kieran, they're doing really well. They're flying. So it's and like they opened like during COVID in Times Square, like, you know what I mean? That's a lot of pressure. That's a lot to take on. But I think because they did, I think they got a great jump on everybody. Where a lot of lads like that were bouncing around looking for places to go. They found places. We said this numerous times in this podcast where people found places that they would have never like found. If I'd have said to a lot of the younger crew that drank in here, like the young professionals, I'll go up to my brother's place up, and the minute you'd mention Times Square, they'd be like, what? Whereas Haswell's now would be very well renowned, like for a lot of Irish people to go to.
It's the go-to place, kind of.
Yeah, and that wouldn't have been that would have been a harder sell, say years ago, to get them up to that side. But there again, like, listen. People used to say that to Macker and Pat when they opened the Mean Fiddler, like 47 just off Times Square. Yeah. Sure, look at it now; it's still an institution, like, isn't it? And all Michael and Pat's bars are all in that neighborhood, like. Yeah. They all were open up around that area. But there's still a lot of people like they're still go and opening bars, and they're right, like, because it's still New York. You still would feel that there is something. You're still gonna do well there in some shape or form. Fuck's sake, I'm opening a prison, man. What are you asking me for?
Pat thought we were the feds there when he walked in.
like Jesus Christ. But like again, like, would you believe that there's something like 32 immersive experiences in New York City? Like, when I heard that, I was like, what?
Yeah.
But like, it just shows you how many people come through New York that all have different tastes or different things.
But you always have to be kind of like, I suppose it's cliche, but one step ahead of the game, or all.
Yeah, and that's kind of why we did it, because we felt that there is a lot of people that have been in the game for a long time, and they feel that immersive experiences are becoming a thing. Like, it's like people younger than us, but even for us, it's like, you know, the TikToks and the Instagram and all that, like, you evolve and that's the way they are. But like, the younger people saying to somebody, do you just want to go for brunch, is nearly like, I'm sure a young person would be like, a young person,
headphones on.
Oh, sorry. I'd say a younger person is probably like going, for what? Or no, like, sorry, as in, we're just going for brunch. There's no drag. There's no booze. There's no nothing. And it's great. They're right. It's great. Have an event. Have something, like, turn it into something. Again, a lot of these things wouldn't be my bag. What the fuck do I know? I'm a non-drinking, non-meat eating 46-year-old, like, so.
Come here.
Nobody's market.
How's the how did you manage to keep the Guinness flowing well during lockdown? Like, if this place closed, did you any problems getting it back up?
Just brought Rory in from Bevflow afterwards, and Rory gave it a good fine tune afterwards, and in both places. And
so is it like home where you'd have a Guinness person coming around testing it?
No, not like that. No, we actually had the Guinness Guru in town last week.
That's my next question.
Oh, was it? Yeah, he was very interesting. Great lad.
Daragh.
Daragh was his name. I brought him around a few places on day 2. But just for clarity, he had done the 2 bars first. And that's why I agreed to bring him around. I'd already seen the video. Like,
yeah, I saw it.
I had seen the video of the long haul in Westbury. And later that day, I brought him around. But it was a good thing to do, because what Daragh done was he put it up online at home, and he asked the people for suggestions where to go. And he went with all the places that he got the most hits of. So when he told me the places that he needed to hit between Queens and Brooklyn, I need a flight that night at 9 o'clock, I knew there's no way he'd do it himself. Like, I said, I'll bring you. So we hit Maggie Mays.
So you didn't know he was coming in town. I
knew from Connor, whose partners with us in the Westbury. Connor had done a podcast with him. Wow. Yeah, so Connor Moore had done a podcast with the Guru a few months ago, and he was talking with him. So he said to Connor, I'm planning on going to New York soon. So I think lads in Belfast have been invested. They sponsored him to come over. So I did know he was coming, but I didn't know when. And then one of the lads just texted me, said, "Oh, the Guru guy was here last night."
Yeah,
but
pint looked nice, all right, and
yeah, but like, if Dara's listened to this, and I didn't get a chance to say it to him, or where I would have a dispute, and I haven't seen. Oh, I've seen part 2, but I haven't seen the Brooklyn one. I was with him on it, but I like, just even for when we'd come out with a pub in Brooklyn, we never talked about the pint. We never asked him. Well, partially because don't drink anymore anyway. Yeah. So it wasn't like I could have one too and we could discuss it. So I never asked him about any of them. But I would say this, if Dara heard this, and I will say it to him actually just for a bit of banter and a bit of crack, is the 2 that I think he gave the highest rating to between Brooklyn and Manhattan, say Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan, they were both the last one he went to on each videos. So if you're having your 5th pint in a bar who's been flown later on, I'm assuming it's going to taste a little bit better. The issue I have, and I probably am sounding a bit bitchy, he had both bars from me for long haul in Westbury. He did both of them at 11:30 in the morning. Now, in his defence, and I won't name the bar for anyone that'll end up watching it, I did overhear him giving a rating for the one in Brooklyn. And he gave it one of the highest ratings, I think, at a whole lot of them. And to be fair to the lads that own that bar in particular, it's not a big daytime bar, so there wasn't many people in it. And I wouldn't say anyone had gone through it that day pouring Guinness. Yeah. And I heard him saying, this is probably the best pint I've had this day, and that was between Queens and Brooklyn. So he was delighted with it. And I'm delighted for the lads in particular that he did it for, because it's a cool bar and it's great work they put into it. But he also gave another bar in... there was 2 bars, and again, I'd say this to Dara, but like, I know New York lads, the Irish lads that are drinking, will question his credibility, because he gave a certain bar in Times Square a decent high rating. And he gave another well-known bar in downtown that is renowned for having amazing Guinness. He gave them a lower rating than the one in Times Square. And I know that people would look at
subjective, isn't it?
But at the same time, that's his thing. And he's not apologising for it. He doesn't need to apologise for it. And it's only his opinion on it.
Yeah, exactly.
And he puts great detail into it, to be fair to him. And I'm not just saying he was a great lad, like, he was a great crack, like. So he started from the pizza guy. What's his name? The barstool guy?
Oh,
I don't know. The barstool guy, when he was sitting at home during COVID, he watched the guy doing the barstool thing, and he decided to start doing them at Guinness. Oh, fair play.
Is he that new to it? Is he? I thought he was around for a couple of years.
I don't think so. I think it was just during COVID, and he started going around and doing points.
Yeah.
But as he says, like, just my opinion, you can run with it. But
Yeah,
tell you what, I must say this to him: the amount of people that were texting me and ringing me and just sending me messages. What rating did you get? What rating did you get?
I got a text in
couldn't
long
believe
haul.
it.
I was like,
I couldn't believe like that people were, and I didn't know. I'm sorry for the start, but I've never really watched much of it. I watch his videos, but I never followed up on any rating, so I didn't know what a bad rating was. So I don't think anyone got above 8 in New York, but I don't think he generally gives above 8.
okay. Yeah.
So when I heard there was like you only gave someone 7 points something, I was like, fuck, that's a bit harsh.
Yeah.
But he's right. Like, so if he starts giving 8s and 9s, where's it going to end for him?
He must have a plan, like our written out where his
Look, where's it going to go for him from there?
Yeah.
Like, he does clothing, he sells all stuff and all that. Like, but fair play to him, you know.
where he's got his rating mapped out, where he's he's obviously got a plan in place. There's another guy doing two fellas doing it. I see
In New York?
Yeah,
Yeah, he told me he'd been in touch with, I think one of them lads
pint
were,
of.
oh, they did a competition among the bars, didn't they?
Did he go? I didn't see. Did he come here? I didn't.
He did, yeah. I did. I shouldn't let on. I didn't see it because I did see it. I think he gave here one of the top ratings in it. So yeah, I should have known that. But again, it's all subjective. Like he well, like Darragh well rated the Dead Rabbit, but rightfully so. Like, but it looked great. But like, that's just his opinion, and it could go into it. But the thing I like
it's good to follow, like people are like
good.
because it is what people talk about.
Exactly.
You know, if you're a Guinness drinker,
I heard one of the lads coming in this morning. One of the lads that drinks in Westbury, a mate of mine, and I heard him saying, "Could I get one of them 7.5?" And I thought he was asking for 7. There was 5 or 6 of them, and I genuinely stupid me when I was walking away. I says, "Is he after 107.5 pints of Guinness?" And when I went back down, I realised what he was talking about. So it does carry weight.
Well, we were down in Bay Ridge after the Brooklyn dinner dance a couple of weeks ago, and the Irish bar there, what's it called? That movie was in there.
Bay Ridge is like the forgotten Irish community, isn't
it's
it?
an Irish bar. That movie was in there with the Departed. They shot the Departed in there.
Oh yeah.
But you're one behind the bar. Guinness just walked away.
You know what I mean? Like,
back then, like that, I was actually.
Is
this
it that
is one of
difficult?
them. I was like,
is it that difficult? Like,
and you could see that she just didn't care in the slightest. Like,
but she sounds like someone that actually purposely went over her way not to do it.
Yeah,
that way,
it's like
you know?
it's like
the thing I would say that I'd say with Darragh, and he admitted this himself, and it wasn't his fault. But I remember asking Cahill, "Is there any bar you'd recommend to him?" But I didn't realise that Darragh had his system down, like the Guinness Guru. I didn't realise that he had his system down. And Cahill, I won't name the place, but Cahill suggested, "Why doesn't he go to such and such? Their Guinness is shit." And just so he can give them a shit rating. He was joking, he wasn't directing at the bar, but he's saying their Guinness is shit. And I was laughing. I said, "That's a good idea, actually." But I said it to Darragh. I said, "Do you not like?" And he goes, "Oh no, I would love to get more like that. But when you ask, you're coming into a city for 48 hours. Like, he done New York one
for
day.
3 days, was he?
He did New York one day. Went to Boston the next morning after doing a few of them. And came back to New York that night from Boston, all on the train.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah, that was a bit. But like yourself, he used to do a lot of editing, doing a lot of the stuff with his camera and stuff. But that guy did 2 New York guys. One of them had suggested a few places for him to go. Again, without naming bars, one of the ones he done, he said it was very suspicious how and he did go and do it in fairness, but he says he puts a thing up on the box on the screen and he says to put in your suggestions there. And one of the bars that he went to in New York, he said in about a 20-minute span, he got about 60 recommendations to go to this one bar. So he's a little suspect. He said, "You totally know the lads in the bar sent out in a WhatsApp group, boys, get in there." But he says, but he did the right thing and he went to it. And I think he was pretty pleasantly, not pleasantly surprised, but pretty happy with him. Overall, he actually said he was really surprised how good the Guinness was across the board.
Yeah.
But I also think it is a bit like, obviously I'm always campaigning best Guinness, NYC, all this kind of stuff. But like, the Guinness should be way better now in every bar. Like, just take care of your lines, get your beer. You know, the Guinness has come from home. And since the IPA sort of thing came years ago here, all the lines are better in general anyway. You know what I mean?
They were mixed before, like, were they?
I moved here in 2001. Nobody drank draft. You literally wouldn't see anyone with a glass of beer in their hand. It's bottle. Or they drank liquor. Nobody drank beer. It was only when the IPA thing started kicked off that everyone started getting so then people had to improve their taps.
Yeah.
And then younger people, to be fair, started getting involved in bars. Like, you know, I mean, not knocking on it, but it was like younger lads did more adventures in bars that gave a shit about their taps. You know what I mean? Whereas you see it at home, it's like a religion, like getting your tap clean. Like some people get them once and twice a week at home, you know. So it is a big thing. I know it was good. It's good advertisement. In fairness to Darragh.
He's a fierce, like 50,000 subscribers. I think he has on
really,
YouTube. Yeah, jeez.
Me and you aren't one of them anyway. Sorry, Dar.
Any tips there, Darragh? How to get the old subs up?
Yeah, fair play to him. Like it's his full-time job now. Like,
is it?
Yeah, that's what he does full-time. You know. But I was trying to get him to come to a couple of other bars or friends of mine in the city. I'd love to get him in. And I didn't realise, and I was saying to him, can we do these two in Brooklyn? And I said, the only thing I'd ask you, I wanted to bring him to two of the lads in Dublin, or two of the lads in the city. And he just said to me, we're going for a train. Do you mind me asking why we're going to these? Because I'm done now. Like, I've recorded. And I realised, sure, he can't. He wasn't just going to add two more Manhattan ones back onto it. So, but I was thinking, should be half of it, but you'd be bananas, wouldn't you? Like, he had one in the Westbury, and we did a bit of a podcast. He had done the Westbury the day before and the long haul. So we'd won in the Westbury, and then we hit Maggie Mays, Wolfhound in Astoria, Iona in Brooklyn. Really cool bar. I'd never been in it. Down around, there's a Franklin's around it. Really, really cool. And then he went down to the Hartley's, down to the lads in the Hartley's. Super bar. Excellent place. Loved it. I've always dying to go to. This is the only thing I miss about not drinking. Is seeing bars like this, like if you get an opportunity, go to it. Excellent, loved it. But should have us like 5 points, and we done that in. Now I know some lads will be listening to this, no fucking big deal, but like 5 points with no food, probably within like I'm running around all within like 2.5-3 hours, like again, which would be no big deal if you were sitting down. But he's supposed to be staying somewhat, you know. Hence why I say to him, your last bar is fucking a bit. You're giving it a good one, but. I gave it away there. Hartley's was the one that he gave the great rating at the end. All right. But in the lads' defence, it's not like they're in the middle of Times Square, so it looked like an amazing Guinness.
You don't taste the Guinness here to see if it's up to scratch. Have you even supped anything in the last couple of years?
No.
Nothing at all.
No, never. I wouldn't even drink 0.0.
Oh yeah, Laura was telling me to try that, and I was like, "No, that only get you only get the taste for it."
I'm guessing that I would. Like yourself. Like I never craved an alcohol.
Yeah.
I craved the experience. I craved the crack. Like I'd crave a lot of lads, like, you know, sitting in the airport and we're flying somewhere. Yeah. You know, something
I'd love a good stag now. That's
something like that. I've asked a good friend of mine at home, you know as well, he doesn't drink anymore, and he's often said to me, "Do you miss it?" And I'd be like, "No." And I said, "What about you?" And he just says, "I miss going mad."
Yeah.
And I get that. I do get
100%.
that. That's the point. But no, I haven't. I've never tasted a pint in the Westbury. That's the thing.
Fuck.
So people keep asking me what's the best one between the Westbury or the long haul, and I always just say the long haul because I don't know. But the bartenders argue with me. Like one or two of the bartenders now that are works in both places. One of the lads in particular, he's adamant that the Westbury is better. So that's a good thing. I don't mind. That's fine. I'm sure Connor would say the same. Connor Sketches.
Yeah.
I know, but it's like, listen. This whole connoisseur Guinness thing, I love it. I love the whole thing about it. I love everything about Guinness, and I think we all should be very proud of it. But I also do think it's a bit of crack, isn't it? Like most of it. But like, if there's a flow and you're taking care of it, it won't be that bad.
Yeah.
And if it's bad, then you have another issue. Like, you know, just take care of it. But the frustration part is the girl you just mentioned in Bay Ridge there. That's annoying.
Yeah. When you see it, like, you can accept, all right, the lines, it's not their fault, but when you see the person that won't just do it properly.
Yeah. I've seen that in some well-known establishments in New York over the years. That would be like kind of unionized mentality between certain places, or it was like I know it's not unionized, but it's a unionized mentality. There's one well-known place and all that a lot of Irish people would visit when they're here, and it'd be very frustrating. I remember being in there one and just seeing your man, and it was nearly arrogantly doing it. And he just did it and he walked away, and it was kind of a big beer garden type place, and I was like, oh, really? And the owner would be very proud of what he's created, and I'm
yeah.
You can't even body your arse to hold that. And like, there's not a Guinness drinker in the world that I said, oh jeez, I'm glad he did it like that. I'm in a hurry. You know, but there you go. That gets back to the whole help thing again, doesn't it? Can't get good help.
Oh, you New Yorkers, can you dance the polka?
And that's all for this week. Let us know what you think about this episode, or what bar you think serves the best Guinness in the Big Apple, by leaving us a comment on Facebook, Instagram or Twitter at The Long Haul Podcast, or visit our website thelonghaulpodcast.com for more interviews. Please like, rate or subscribe to the channel. This will ensure that we can get even more episodes to you more often. Our recent podcast with Pat Phelan has gotten tremendous feedback, so why not share it with your friends or family? Slán go fóill, and thanks for listening.
And when we got inside the house, the drinks were passed around. The liquor was so awful strong, my head went round and round to me away. You Santy, my dear Annie, oh, you New York girls, can you dance the polka to me way? You Santy, my dear Annie, oh, you New York girls, can you dance the polka?